Viewers, ladies, or gentlemen, we're all set to discuss what a précis is in the English grammar. We're also about to learn what is it that we call a précis. Now, if you look at this word précis, all it means, it's a short form of being precise. Now, if you're precise, it would mean that it's something that you're focusing on, and you're talking about the core issue of. It is a summary, a précis is a summary, but the summary has no rules. Excuse me. The summary is anything which is condensed. However, a précis has some rules to follow. Now, in précis writing, let's simplify it to say that there are three principal, main, important, vital rules that you have to follow. Now, the first rule would be here, rules. Rule number one is that a précis should have a title. A précis should have a title because the long passage, and the passages can vary in length and in meaning. So the long passage, reduced to whatever form we take it to, should have a title for the reader to know as to what you're going to talk about. So the first rule is a title, and the second rule is that the précis that you eventually end up writing should be 1/3 of the original length. And the third rule would be that you do not use the language of the original passage. In other words, you write the précis in your own words. So, words. The words that you use should be your own. Now, there are many ways of going about it. Lots of people break it down into many unnecessary, detailed complications. There is a method by which some teachers want to draw a graph with the number of lines that will be able to accommodate 1/3 of the original passage. But we will go straight to the point, and we'll make it simple. And the way we'll make it simple will be that the first thing that you've got to do when you're writing a précis is to count the number of words, in the original passage. Now, let's say here is a passage which we want to make a précis of. Now, the number of words in this passage happens to be about 48. There are about 48 words in the original passage. And if you want to write a précis of this passage of 48 words, then 1/3 of 48 should be, I think, 16. So the overriding rule that you have to follow will be make a précis a condensed form of the original passage into words which should not exceed 16. Now, again, the teachers will vary. The teachers will tell you, you must be exact. If it's 16, then you need to make a précis of 16 words. If it's 16.8, then you need to make a précis of 17 words. But we won't go into that kind of a finicky detail. The idea is it should be 1/3, and of course the top précis should be exactly 1/3. So 1/3 of 48, 16. But most people will accept, will tolerate, will allow. If you exceed the 1/3 figure by 1 or 2 or even 3, and if the passage is long, even 5. Now in this case, if you look at this, you can come close so that this can be read now. Now you focus on this, that's it. Now if you look at this passage, I'll just read it once for you, which is, whether we look at the intrinsic value of our literature or at the particular situation of this country, we shall see the strongest reason to think that of all foreign tongues, the English language is that which would be the most useful to our native subjects in India. Words spoken by Lord Macaulay. So we'll add in India here. In India. Which takes it to 50 words. And 50 words, and you could be allowed to have a figure of 17 here. Now this is the model précis which we've made out of this passage of 50 words. Now if you look at this, sorry, to make a précis out of this, you need a title. So we first get the title up, and let's say we call it English for Indian subjects. Now, so we got the title there. Now, the next job is to condense this into 16 or 17 words. So what do? You read the passage once, twice, thrice, understand it, and then see the essentials of the passage. Now, the essentials of this passage would be, whether we look at the intrinsic value of our literature, so he's talking about the intrinsic value of our literature, or at the particular situation of this country, which is also important, the particular situation of this country, which is India, we shall see the strongest reason to think that of all foreign tongues, the English language is that which would be the most useful. So the English language the most useful to our native subjects, also important. So the important essentials of this passage are intrinsic value of our literature, 1, the situation prevailing in India, 2, English being the most useful to our subjects. There are 3 important points. So all you got to do is combine these these important points into a coherent sentence. So what we start talking about, what we start delivering would be, and of course it's signed, it's annotated by Lord Macaulay. So and this is in direct speech. So the first rule is that all précis will be in indirect speech. So we break down the direct into indirect, saying Lord Macaulay said that England's noble literature and language made English the foreign language most useful for our native subjects in India. Now, if we count these words, there are something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 22 words is far too much for us to end up with a précis. So we got to cut down more. Now what we cut down is, Lord Macaulay said that England's noble literature, we take out the language, made English, we cut down the foreign language most, we say, made English the most useful language for our native subjects in India, which is 17 words, and which is a figure that we will accept. So, my dear listeners and ladies and gents, this is more or less how we will go about writing a précis.